Welcome, everybody, to week 2 of NFL Points, Picks, and Props. Joining me for another week, Tommy Birch in the Northeast and Ben O'Connell in Chicago. I am Kyle Garlett coming to you from Denver, Colorado. And we've got a lot of games to get to, obviously, for our week 2. We've got 15 games. We're going to cover 13 on Sunday and 2 on Monday night that overlap. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet. But we need to do a quick recap of what happened last week. And for those of you who weren't with us, I have prepared a little bit of a highlight video so you can be caught up. At 6.5 points, I just can't take the Broncos here. I've got to roll with the Seahawks in Seattle. It's going to be an emotional night. That 12th man is going to be super loud. And I think that the Broncos, I think also this is going to be a low-scoring game, which I think keeps it closer. I think the Broncos are going to rely heavily on Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, and it's going to be like a 17-14 kind of game.
Before you say anything here, Kyle, you got to give yourself the boo button here. I know that's your thing, but you got to give yourself the boo button here. I'm giving you a big thumbs down on this one.
We were scoring 17 points last season with Drew Lock, and that guy's sitting behind Geno Smith week 1. What's going to Russell not only comes in and shows asserts his dominance upon the AFC West. I think Denver wins by 17. I think we score I think we score at least 3 touchdowns. And Kyle, man,
sleep on the Seahawks.
I'm going to call an audible right now. I'm going to call an audible.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I can't side with you on this one. I hope,
right.
I know we're counting up our records at the end of the year. I think this one's going to hurt you in the long run.
All right. I look forward to your apologies next week.
Wow. The confidence in this one. Their rebuilt roster,
right.
Russell Wilson's revenge game. They dominate the spread. I don't just mean they win. They dominate the spread.
All right.
Lock it in, lock and key, throw away the key. You don't need to get back in. We're going Broncos for my favorite.
And I'm quite sure that there will be some crow being eaten by at least one of our panelists. It could be me, could be one of the other guys. It's hard to say.
Let me know. I'm just letting you guys know it's not going to be me.
Couldn't be me. I don't know.
We are back live, and I'm wondering, what are you boiling your crow? Are you going to fry it? You have it baking. You can use an air fryer. How are you guys eating that crow?
Throwing that in the air fryer for a good 20 minutes. It'll come out nice. I already plucked the feathers.
Nice.
It's gonna look nice and good.
Oh, it sounds good. You have to tell me how it tastes.
Hey, it was a disappointing Monday to say for sure. Disappointing Monday.
Well, I had a lot of fun with it, and I certainly had a fun time reliving last week's show. Look, we want everybody to win on their bets. Tommy, I know your favorite of the week was the Denver Broncos covering their 6.5 point spread. We don't like to see people lose. As far as I'm concerned, everybody should win their bet. But seeing as I had the opposite bet, and I was chastised repeatedly for that bet, I did take a little bit of pleasure in that. Also, Tommy, we'd be remiss if we didn't address the actual results from last week. Let me just take a quick look. Let's update everybody on how we did last week. Ben's 5 picks. Ben, you were 3-2 on your 5 picks, and you nailed your prop, which was Younghoe Koo over 1.5 field goals. You also nailed your favorite. You got your top dog, and you just lost your money line. But otherwise, that was a pretty solid Sunday for you.
Right. What can I say? If you believe in the Lions, good things happen.
And so, Tommy, you lost your favorite, which we already talked about. You did get your underdog. Your money line was the Arizona Cardinals, and my guess is that Kyler Murray ate the wrong breakfast cereal that morning. Had he eaten some of this, I think that we would have seen a better game out of him, and maybe your bet would have come through. Although it was 23 points, I believe, was the difference there. So maybe
it must have been double XP weekend.
A couple bowls of this probably to make that happen. And then your 5 picks, you were 0-5, and I actually asked former head coach Jim Mora to come on and discuss with his thoughts on your. And I've got more on the line right now. I'm going to patch him through here. Hey, Coach, what did you think of Tommy's performance this weekend?
In my opinion, that sucked. Pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful.
Wow. I didn't realize it was going to be that harsh on you. I apologize for that. I mean, that's not really nice. Studio audience, what did you guys think of the weekend that Tommy had?
Brutal.
That's tough. Well, surely, at least the children are on your side.
Loser, double loser.
Oh, wow. That's uncalled for.
America.
That's uncalled for.
Let me give my piece
like that.
I apologize for all of that.
Let me give my piece here. Somebody was going to have a bad week eventually. Wow. Somebody was going to have a bad week eventually. It was going to start with somebody. I'm just rolling. I'm starting off rolling, getting the train going, But you know what? I guarantee Kyle and Ben over here are going to have their bad weeks too. And although I did go 0-5 on my game picks, I will admit to that. I was thinking about hanging up the jersey, but my props came through. My underdog went through. I ended up going 3 or 4 and 7 or 8. As bad as that sounds, it's really it could have been worse. So
it could have been worse. Well, and look, if we go back to last year, week 1, the Tennessee Titans got destroyed by the Arizona Cardinals. Titans ended up being the top seed in the AFC. And the Green Bay Packers got absolutely destroyed by the New Orleans Saints. And Aaron Rodgers had one of his worst games of all time. He ended up winning the MVP, and the Packers ended up being the number 1 seed in the NFC. So week 1 doesn't have to define a season. And all you got to do is just pull an Aaron Rodgers or Ryan Tannehill. I don't know. That doesn't have the same ring. Let's go with the Aaron Rodgers. And I think you can rebound. And so speaking of rebounding, let's actually, you know what? I do have a couple of notes about week 1 I wanted to get to real quick just to talk about, because it was really an interesting week 1. There were 7 games decided by 3 points or fewer, and that was an NFL record. I don't know if you guys knew that. Scoring, however, was way down, which is interesting because all of our prop bets were overs, but scoring was down over 6 points a game, and QB ratings were down almost 10 points a game from last year's week 1. And this was an interesting stat that I felt like coaches need to pay attention to. Get starting quarterbacks who did not start or play any in the preseason were 3-8 in week 1. The only winners were Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, and Lamar Jackson. The 8 losing quarterbacks who did not see a snap in the preseason were Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Ryan Tannehill, and the aforementioned Russell Wilson. So it was an interesting week 1. And now we move on to week 2, where we actually have 5 games with point spreads of 10 points or more. An interesting note to that, 4 of those teams that are favorites lost last week. So obviously the NFL bettors are saying week 1, throw it out. No one cares. These teams are going to win big. So to get to our second week picks, we are going to play a little game to see who picks first. The reviews on last week's game were fantastic. Everybody loved Draft Class or Law Firm. So we are going to go with a new touch to this year's or to last week's. This is going to be match the football player or coach to the movie. Hopefully you guys have watched some football movies over the years. These are players from those movies. I'm going to read a player name, and based on the looks I'm getting, it sounds like I should make these multiple choice, that you're not going to just be able to pick the football names out of the air. Is that, Ben, is that fair? Or
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do it like last time. We'll do 2 rounds. If there's a tie at the end of 2 rounds, we'll go to a 3rd round until we're done. We started with Tommy last week, so Ben, we're going to go ahead and start with you. And the first name on my list is Rod Tidwell. Rod Tidwell is the football player. Was Rod Tidwell in Any Given Sunday, The Water Boy, or Jerry Maguire?
Any Given Sunday.
Sadly, no. You guys
She's
don't have the time.
right one day.
Rod Tidwell was wide receiver played by Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire. Show me the money.
I knew that one too. Darn.
Yeah. All right, Tommy, up to you now. We have Vontae Mack is our player. Was Vontae Mack in Friday Night Lights, Remember the Titans, or Draft Day?
Vontae Mack. So
Friday Night Lights, Remember the Titans, or Draft Day?
I'm gonna go draft day here.
Well done. Vontae Mack was indeed in Draft Day, played by Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman played Vontae Mack. All right, on to round 2 and to Ben. Charles Jefferson is our football player. Was Charles Jefferson in Wildcats, Fast Times at Ridgemount High, or The Program?
The Program. I've seen none of these.
Charles Jefferson was the middle linebacker for Ridgemount High, played by Forrest Whitaker. He remember his car got smashed up, so he just destroyed the other team? No?
Would you believe
Yep.
that out of all the movies that you've offered up as options, the only ones I've seen are Remember the Titans and for some reason Draft Day?
Wait, what about the Water Boy?
Oh wait, I have seen The Waterboy. You're right.
I was gonna say that's a classic. I mean, they're all classics, but I'm a first generation football player, so I kind of had to go through those myself.
All right. Well, so Tommy, you have one by default, but we're going to go ahead and finish out this round here.
Let's see if I can go 2-0 here.
And our football player is Shane Falco. And was Shane Falco in The Replacements, Point Break, or North Dallas 40?
Is it the Replacements?
It is The Replacements. Shane Falco was the quarterback played by Keanu Reeves. And Tommy Birch goes 2-0, and you will begin our program for us with your picks. So let me switch over to my ticker here. We're going to start our these are all of our not draft picks. I'm still stuck on draft day. These are the point spreads for week 2, brought to us by our folks at USA Wager. They are our sponsors. These are the consensus lines that they have compiled for us. So if you search around for lines between either FanDuel, DraftKings, Bet365, you might find something better, but these are the average lines. And so, Tommy, let's start with you and your first game. We'll go ahead and change our screen here. I know I'm doing a lot of things and letting the view or the audience look behind the curtain at some of the technical stuff that we're doing here. It's a very complicated program that we're running here. It's a 6-camera shoot. We've got a whole team of people in the control room. All right. Your first game.
All right. So you know what? Going 2-0 in that game, I got to find my win somewhere. I couldn't find them last week. This is the place I need to be. All right. So now I'm going to make up for last week. This is my redemption day. Okay? I would go through a whole hype speech. I have a whole thing planned, but you know what? I'll keep it on the low for now. I'll save it for later if I need it. So my first game this week is the Commanders playing against the Lions. And although, the Commanders looked pretty good last week, and Carson Wentz, we got flashbacks to his MVP season, well, almost MVP season. 4 touchdowns. He was throwing the ball out of the stadium, and the guy still has an arm. His team seems to have confidence in him. I don't. As much as I love Carson Wentz and the way he played, Detroit held their own against, personally, in my personal opinion, one of the best teams in the NFC in the Eagles. And that game, like coming down so close, and Jared Goff proving what I said last week about him being one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. He threw 56.7% for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think that they held their own. And I think that the Eagles are a significantly better team than the Commanders are. And if that's the case, it won't be 3 points in the favor of Washington. It'll be 3 points in the favor of Detroit. And the spread is pretty small. It's at a minus 2.5 for the Lions, but we're going to lock it in anyways.
Well, and I think one of the things that about the Lions is DeAndre Swift was fantastic last week. And I think that he is heads and shoulders better than Antonio Gibson and McKissick. They're the running backs for the Commanders. I think that's the difference there. And yeah, I agree with you. Lions are a good team.
I like the Lions too at 2.5.
All right, your next game.
Next game, the New York Jets facing off against the Cleveland Browns. Now, last week I picked the Panthers to cover the spread against the Browns, and that did not happen. I'm not very happy about that. However, the spread this week is at -6 for Cleveland and +6 for the Jets. And Joe Flacco threw for 59 attempts, over 300 yards, a touchdown, and over 60% efficiency. We're talking about Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco. And this offense, as much as they didn't score that many points, they were getting a couple drives going. I mean, they were getting the ball down the field, mostly through the air. But I think that, Michael Carter can be a real steamroller on this offense, and their defense wasn't bad. And Sauce Gardner played out of his mind. And the +6, it's difficult for me to say the Jets are going to win here, but having them at +6, I can see this game being within 5. So I'm gonna roll with the Jets here, underdog.
All right, I went with the Jets last week, and that did not go well. But I agree with what you're saying. The Jets did move the ball pretty well last week. You had Michael Carter dropping a touchdown right there at the goal line. They had opportunities to score, they just didn't finish.
Completely agree with you on that. Not really big on this Cleveland Browns team either, so I'm rolling with you on this +6 on the Jets.
All right, your next game.
All right, my next game is the Atlanta Falcons against the Los Angeles Rams. And this is one of the games we were talking about, that the spread is over 10. And the Rams own the spread right now, -10.5. And with all due respect, Atlanta, you guys put up a good fight last week, but this game is not even close to being competitive, in my opinion. Yes, last week, the Rams and Matt Stafford struggled. The Bills put on a clinic. It was unfair, but we have to pull into account that it's the Bills. They're quite possibly the most well-rounded team in the AFC. And it was pretty expected that it was going to be either close, but I personally thought the Bills were going to blow them out, and that's what happened. So the Rams are still the Rams. Stafford isn't prone to 2 bad games consecutively, and I love him here. And I don't expect – another thing, I don't expect Cordero Patterson to have another good game. I mean, the Rams front 7 is one of the best in the NFL, so I'm taking the Rams at -10.5.
I don't really have much to add. I think that the Rams are obviously they were embarrassed last week, and they will not allow themselves a second embarrassment by any means.
Yeah, completely agree. I think Sean McVay is going to just be ready, at a higher level. And I just think that Atlanta got off to a hot start. I'm not sure that momentum carries over.
All right, Tommy, your next game.
All right, for my 4th game on the roster right here, I've got Houston playing against the Denver Broncos. So clearly, looking at last week, I don't have a great history with picking the Broncos, but this is what I'm going to say. I'm doubling down. I'm a man of my word. As much as Houston put up a good fight last week, and I like Mills, and, Pierce is due for a bounce-back game. He disappointed fantasy owners all across the country. Broncos country, let's ride. -10. -10. Do you think that Russell Wilson is going to go out there And after having a decent game last week, it was I don't think that he was the problem, but he's going to give a hype speech, That is I'm so ready for this game. And I'm locking it in. Broncos country -10. Let's ride.
His hype speech is more of a cornball speech. Look, I think that we were sold a bill of goods about Dameon Pierce. He may be a fine running back. He is not ready for prime time yet, obviously. And while the Texans played really good for 3 quarters, they were absolutely horrid in that 4th quarter, and their head coach showed absolutely no guts at all. I think that tie against the Colts is an aberration. I think they will come to the Mile High City and get spanked soundly by the Broncos. So
give me Mr. Unlimited.
I could do without Mr. Unlimited, but I do think the Broncos will win. Javonte Williams showed me a lot in week 1. He's a stud, and he'll be a stud every week this year.
Yeah, I think, this is obviously just a little bit of fan bias here. I do believe, though, however, that the Broncos, they were embarrassing offense. You don't give up 2 goal line stands like that without walking away completely and utterly humiliated and embarrassed about that. And you should feel that way about that. I mean, it's going to turn around. I think that Nathaniel Hackett's going to get it together. You saw over 100 yards of penalties. That goes to what Kyle was saying earlier, just lack of experience in the preseason. I think you get all the, the jitters out of the way. Broncos easily covered -10.
All right, and your final game is in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals did me dirty twice last week, and they hurt me. It deep in there, down in my heart, shattered. I had so much faith in Kyler. I had so much faith in that offense, that defensive front. And you know what?
Do you need to see the Mahomes crunch? Do you need to see these again, or should I put these
I
away?
think you can put those down.
Oh, okay.
I think I've seen them enough. But you know what? The Raiders put up a good fight against the Chargers last week. The Chargers are one of the best high-flying, deep ball-throwing offenses in the league. Give me my hype speech. I'm doubling down again. The Cardinals are +6 in this game, and you know what? That is too many points. This is his real comeback game. Kyler's getting even more hate. More hate. All his DMs are getting filled. Kyler, what are you doing? Kyler, where's the checkdowns? And you know what? He's locking in, and I'm locking in. I'm gonna say it again. Lock it in. Throw away the key. Give me the Cards +6 here.
I don't know how you can watch last week's game and think that the Cardinals are worthy of any kind of locking in. Their defense is terrible. The Chiefs are not a good running team, and they ran all over them. I think, even though I'm not a big Josh Jacobs fan, I think he has a big game. I think the Raiders back home, the Cardinals have nobody to rush the passer. Patrick Mahomes was barely touched last week. Derek Carr was harassed by the Chargers. He will have a much better pocket to throw from this week. I think that Raiders offense gets the 30 points off this Cardinals team, and I think you're way off the mark there. But we'll see. We'll find out.
Pitch in really quick.
How is this happening? 2 AFC West fans going with the Raiders on this one. I don't know what it is. I do think that this is in a little bit of that dangerous territory because I think I'm leaning Raiders at like a -4, -5.5 type of situation. So I do think that the window here is, about right if you do want to pick the Cardinals. But again, you know what? I think I have more faith in what the Raiders are going to end up doing this week, which is wild that the Chiefs and the Bronco fans are agreeing on that. But yeah, rare occasions do occur.
Oh yeah, make no mistake. I'll be rooting for the Cardinals. Yeah, I just don't see it.
And here's my thing, right? My last piece. As much as I know the Raiders offense is going to put up points next week, and they're going to put up 30. That's almost a given. If there's an over on this game, I'm picking it. But the Cardinals offense is, I think after last week, we're underrating it at this point. We have first week bias, and first week bias is not healthy for anybody in this sport. And that goes through fantasy, that goes through betting, that goes through fandom on its own. I think that we need to look past it, say this is our new week 1. We've seen what they can be capable of, and I don't think they're going to win, but that +6 is looking pretty nice.
Look, it wouldn't be week 1 if we couldn't overreact. So, all right, and on to your top prop of the week.
My top prop. So I like this one a lot, DJ Moore. So my prop is that he scores this weekend, and it's +195 for him to score. And last week, he didn't have that great of a game, didn't reach the 50-yard mark, but I think that his chemistry with Baker just needs to develop. And maybe after not getting as many targets as he would have liked last week, Robbie Anderson had a great game. But because he had a great game, the defense is going to be eyeing him a lot. And the Giants' secondary is not incredible. And I think that even though last week they won by 1 point, Ryan Tannehill doesn't have like that deep ball ability. I think Baker has a better deep ball arm than he does. So, I like that pick. I think the +195 is pretty enticing, and he's going to get a touchdown at some point soon. And I think next week is the way to go.
All right, so there you go. DJ Moore to score +195. I do like that +195 number for sure. All right, Ben, it is your turn for your 5 games.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead
We'll just
and hit me with it.
Yeah, we're going to start right there with the game that Tommy was just talking about with Carolina at the New York Giants. I'm going to take the New York Giants at -2.5 there. You know what? Carolina just went out there. I was betting on Carolina. I liked Carolina last week. I liked the idea of Baker really just being riled up and getting ready to go after his old team. And you know what? They played a stinker of a half, and then Baker came out, and started playing the way I thought he was going to all 60 minutes. My thing is, though, I just don't, outside of playing the Browns, do you really think that second half comes around? I don't know. New York Giants showed a lot of heart. They also played a stinker of a half, but they buckled down. This is not the same New York Giants team that we're used to. There's a lot of grit and determination there. You know what? I gotta roll with them. I think they win by a field goal. I like -2.5.
This is an example of just how razor thin the margins are in the NFL. If a 58 or if the rookie kicker doesn't kick a 58-yard field goal, we're thinking great things about the Panthers. And if that 2-point conversion that Brian Daboll calls doesn't convert, we're thinking it's the same old Giants continuing to lose. And it may have a completely different feel for this game based on these two scoring plays at the end of these games. So it's really, I think this game highlights just how small the margin for error is in the NFL, which is why, of course, we all love it so much. Tommy, do you have anything on this game? Or you've already honked DJ Moore, so we know where you stand on that.
I like both teams this week. It's kind of tough for me to make a pick here. I think that the Giants are going to be a solid 7-10 team this year. I think they're going to be better, but the Panthers just need to get their get back. That's all I've got to say.
All right, Ben, moving on to your next game.
Yeah, my next game is going to be Miami at Baltimore. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins at +3.5. You know what? I think that they just keep the momentum rolling. I think that they're hot, and I think that the Ravens are a team that they can do it against, I also, my prop bet, not to spoil it or anything, does come from this game. I'm just kind of rolling with I'm rolling with the teal right now. I like Miami.
Well, I think one thing we saw against the Patriots is they actually left points on the board there or on the field. You don't leave them on the board; they left them on the field. A couple of times where Tua missed opportunities, but otherwise, I mean, you beat a division foe by 13 points. You're feeling pretty good. Tommy,
you know what? I do like this pick, and I think the Ravens, I think their offense could have done a lot more against the Jets last week. I think the point differential wasn't as good as it should be, especially with a former MVP at quarterback, and that's a very recent MVP. And you know what? I don't think they're cut out for this. And I think Miami is a significantly better team than we had in the Jets last week. And I think they could I think they could pull out a win here.
One thing is J.K. Dobbins did return to practice for Baltimore on Wednesday and got a full practice in. So he looks like he probably is going to be back on Sunday, but the Dolphins are still rolling after that first win. All right, Ben, your next game.
My next game is going to be the Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills. The spread right now is 10 points. I'm going to take the underdog in here. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans plus 10. I like Vrabel. I think he keeps shit close. I think that it is, is not necessarily traditional football that you see there, but a lot of clock management, a lot of controlling as much as they can. I like Tennessee. I think that they're not happy with what they put up. Buffalo had a hell of a game. I wonder if they feel a little comfortable and maybe let up a little early. The window's wide, and the Titans are still, I think, a pretty good team. Plus 10 just seems a little wide for me. I'm gonna take it.
Well, plus 10 is obviously always a big spread. I mean, this is the NFL, and we were just talking about small margins for error. But man, that Buffalo Bills team looks awfully good. I know. So we're picking obviously all of the games, and we would never recommend to somebody to go bet on all 15 games on Sunday and Monday. You bet on the games you have better feelings on than others. This is a game I would not touch either way. It could be a Bills 3-point win. It could be a Bills 3-touchdown win. I just don't have a good feeling about it. But I agree with you about Vrabel. I think he is one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL.
I like Vrabel a lot too, but this is my thing, right? As much as Tennessee might have gotten robbed last week, there's little nitpicky things that we could go through. The Bills just ran through the Super Bowl winning team of last year that had very little change to their roster, if not some upgrades, as much as that might sound wrong. I just feel like, the Titans losing to the historically bad Giants the last couple of years and the Bills beating the Super Bowl champions. I mean, and the Bills covered this spread. So I can't agree with you on this one, Ben. I'll have to go against you on this.
I will say though, I feel like Tennessee's offense right now, maybe call me crazy. I like Tennessee's offense right now more than I like LAR's. They had so much just rolling through Cooper Kupp, and it feels like if Cooper Kupp isn't playing out each play, then the offense isn't playing out each play. Obviously it's okay for us to disagree on this. I'm just gonna tell you I think Tennessee has more offensive output, and that's why I like the 10-point window there.
All right, moving on to your fourth game here.
Yeah, fourth game I got is going to be Tampa Bay at New Orleans with a spread of -3. And I just kind of wonder what's going on with that, because honestly, I feel like it should probably be 4.5, maybe 5. I like Tampa Bay on this. I think that, what Kyle, reminded me last week, and then the old man himself did too, is it's a bad choice to bet against Tom Brady. The man, as much as he might have going on off the field, the man just gets it done on the field. And, lots of field goals were being kicked in that game on Sunday night. I don't think that happens. I don't think that the Saints put up a performance to make me even believe that they can stay within 3 points much of this game to the Bucks. I like the Buccaneers in this one to -3.
I mean, the one thing I would say is that the Saints did beat the Bucks last year after Jameis Winston went down with an injury. He was only in for like the first half of the first quarter, and the Saints did win that game. They always seem to play the Bucks tough, but man, that Bucks defense looks good. The Bucks. We talk about Tom Brady, obviously, and Julio Jones. He's running as fast as he did 5 years ago. He may not stay healthy for more than a couple of weeks, but right now he looks like Julio Jones. So I would not bet against the Buccaneers.
Don't bet against TB12. And you know what? This offense is gonna go ballistic. And the Dallas was one of the best, if not the best, offensive team last year, if I'm correct. statistically, and leaving them at 3 points. And you're going against a New Orleans team that almost lost to Atlanta. I can't do that.
Should have lost to Atlanta.
Exactly. And you know what? I think this should be one of those +10, -10 games. This should be a much larger difference. I mean, if you could bet, I'd put all my money on this game if I had life savings going into this.
All right, Ben, on to your 5th game. And speaking of TB12, how's his old team going to do?
Well, a week ago, I told y'all I didn't know how it was going to happen, but the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to cover. And not only did they go out and cover, they won and dominated the whole damn game. Let me tell you what's going to happen this week. I didn't know. Last week, I couldn't tell you how it was going to happen. I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen this week. Damn good defense. That's how it's going to happen. Mac Jones is just going to be – he's going to be seeing – he's going to see everything, be seeing ghosts out there. I swear. You know what? I don't even know how the Steelers are the underdogs in this one, +1.5. Not only do I like them at +1.5, I like them to win the whole damn game.
I think these might be the 2 worst offenses in football, and this is going to be like a 7-3 game. Watching the Patriots, the Matt Patricia calling plays experience is awful. Mitch Trubisky quarterbacking the Pittsburgh Steelers with that awful offensive line. Najee Harris, 10 carries for 23 yards behind that line, and now he's banged up. I don't know what the over-under is on this game, but it's even if it's like 15, I would go under. It's such a margin for it's such a low-scoring game. You got to take the underdog. I agree with you on that.
You know what? I'm totally on board with that, and I think the Steelers actually. You know what? I'm gonna be the guy. I think the Steelers are gonna put up a decent amount of points this week. If that's 15, I'm putting the over because I think the Steelers are scoring 17 this week by themselves. You know what? Oh wow, that's crazy.
They're going to need another touchdown from Minkah Fitzpatrick.
They need 14 from the D for that to happen.
And you know what? I am a Mitchell Trubisky believer, and I think well, to an extent. Don't go crazy on that one, but I could see him throwing a touchdown or 2. I think Najee's going to score this weekend, and I'm a huge fan of the Steelers offense, regardless of Kyle's very bold comment on that they are one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And you know what? They looked like one of the worst offenses in the
terrible.
NFL. But you know what? I'm going to stick to what I was saying before. Week 1 bias. We are not talking about that week 1 stuff anymore. This is week 2. The real week 1 is week 2.
Fair
and
enough.
I love that. I love that pick.
All right, Ben, for your prop, we're going to go back to one of the better games this weekend, which is the Dolphins and the Ravens.
Yeah, my prop bet is going to be Tyreek Hill snagging himself a touchdown at +150. Why? It's Tyreek Hill. He's going to score a touchdown. At plus money, why wouldn't you take it? This is free money as far as I'm concerned. I like it.
Well, I mean, he obviously got plenty of targets last week. They're still just working him into the offense. As a Chiefs fan, obviously, I watched Tyreek Hill a lot. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to score a touchdown. So, yeah, this is a solid bet for me.
I got nothing to say here. I mean, Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers in the NFL, and Tua can get the ball to him, regardless of what the media is saying. Oh, Tua can't throw the deep ball. Leave him alone. All right, you're an NFL quarterback. Of course, you can throw a deep throw. I mean, you're in the NFL. You're a starter. They wouldn't put you in if you couldn't throw the ball down the field, especially with these receivers. Give it to me. You know what? Give me two touchdowns.
I believe you prefaced this with you didn't have much to say. You're railing for Tua. You and Tyreek are both Tua, the Tua fan club there going on. I like it.
I love Tua.
All right. Now it's to my 5 games, and we are going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. It's the Doug Peterson era. Nearly got off to a start with a win. They lost it there at the end, which was sad because the team played pretty well. I loved Trayvon Walker in this game. I don't know if you guys watched him. He had that sack, he had that pick, but just he just looked great all over the place. The way he was reading things, the way he was diagnosing what was happening in front of him. He's more than just a physical guy. He is a smart football player. And I think that Matty Ice is long beyond his days of being mobile. I think we get another couple of sacks from Walker in this game. Josh Allen on the other side probably loads up with another sack. I liked what we saw out of Travis Etienne. I hope we see more of him. And I think the Jags keep this game close. I was surprised that it was a 4-point spread. To me, this should have been about a 2.5-point spread. But giving the Jags more than a field goal, I'm going with the Jags on this one.
I love that pick. I really do. And I think that, Indy last week, they didn't perform as well as they should have against a team that is clearly not on their level, at least on paper. And the Jags, they have a great roster at this point, and that's very bold of me to say. And you know what? I like the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. I think they might have a winning record at the end of the season. I like the pick.
Don't let week one fool you. Jacksonville Jags are a team that's rebuilding. They're going to be hot. They're young. They're talented. They're going to be good. I like +4.
All right. Hey, the Seahawks were good to me last week. They were good to me. And I think they're going to be good to me again because, again, we talked about these big giant spreads inside the division. These are teams that know each other. The Seahawks know the 49ers. Pete Carroll knows the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. And that plays to his advantage in terms of keeping things close. Elijah Mitchell is now out. I know every fantasy geek out there is grabbing Jeff Wilson, but they it's not always going to be next man up that does what they need. They're going to have some struggles without Elijah Mitchell. Look, Trey Lance, it was a monsoon. It's hard to judge what happened to him in that game. But you got Jimmy G sitting over there on the sideline probably thinking to himself, I could score more than 10 points against the Bears. And you probably have a number of Bears or of 49ers players also thinking Jimmy G could score more than 10 points against the Bears. George Kittle has still been missing practice. I just don't think that the 49ers offense is ready to click. They probably will in a few more weeks. But right now, that offense, I think, is going to struggle enough to keep the Seahawks within 10 points. The 49ers were going to win probably. I certainly thought they were going to win in Chicago. But I like the Seahawks to keep this game competitive.
And you know what? This is I can't disrespect this pick as much as I love my Niners. But you know what? I was looking at the weather forecast over in the Bay Area. It's looking like another rain game for the Niners. And as much as I want to be the guy who says, oh, they were so bad last week, they're just not going to compete. They couldn't perform in the bad terrain. I think their experience is going to help them. I think that week one being in that weather and having to deal with the torrential downpour and the terrible rain in Chicago, I think that they might actually come through this week. And I think Seattle's not ready for that. I think Seattle comes off a win they weren't expecting. I think Geno Smith is not going to perform the way he did last week. I do like him. I have to give him my props, especially for losing my pick, but I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this one.
Is there any team in the NFL right now that's feeling better than the Seattle Seahawks? I don't think there is. And you know what? I think that they roll in with that confidence. San Fran's feeling down. You don't actually even really know how much did they get to play their brand of football. That game was, it was more than a rain game, that was just that is historical level type of, we're going to remember how crooked the sidelines were for, forever. So I really wonder how much San Fran got out of week one, other than just feeling bummed that they lost to the Bears. I like Seattle at +10.
Moving on, the aforementioned Dallas Cowboys that looked awful against the Bucs are going to look awful again against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cooper Rush is now your quarterback, and they were terrible on offense with Dak. Losing Amari Cooper, I think, is a much bigger deal than they think it is. I'm just not sold on this offense at all. And yeah, the Bengals offensive line, this new and improved Bengals offensive line, got smoked by the Steelers. They gave up 7 sacks. don't be surprised if Micah Parsons picks up a couple of sacks in this game. I think that the Cowboys defense will make some hay, but to me, this should be one of those 10-point spreads. There's no way that Joe Burrow turns the ball over 5 times again. He just go find Jamar Chase. Just give the ball to Jamar Chase and let him do his thing. The Bengals expose the Cowboys for being frauds for the rest of the season.
There's not much to add here. I think Dallas is a lot worse than we were expecting them to be. I think, Cooper Rush playing quarterback is not going to help in any regard. And Cincinnati just had a fluke week, in my opinion. I mean, not necessarily a fluke week. I just don't see, again, like you said, 5 turnovers. It's not happening again. T. Higgins is going to get the ball a little more. Jamar Chase is going to get the ball a hell of a lot more. Lock it in.
Burrow gets the boys back on track at -7.5. I like it.
All right. The Green Bay Packers, one of those 10-point spreads. They got shown up pretty hardcore by the Vikings. And these Bears, now you're in Chicago. Are people loving the Bears, or are they also seeing that as a kind of an aberration? Because I think the Bears are still a terrible team. And I think even though the Packers have no wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers, as he has announced to the world many times, he owns the Bears. And I think he will own them at Lambeau Field.
You know what? Chicagoans, they love the Bears right now, but you know what else? They also love Malort. They are crazy about dumb things. You know what? I have to agree with you. Packers -10.
You know what? There's not much to argue here. I mean, the Bears. I can't even say this. I'm a Niners fan. This is unfair for me. I don't think the Bears got it, and I think the Packers do have it, regardless of their receiving situation. I like it.
They got Aaron Rodgers. That's all they need. All right, my final game and one of the better games. It's our last Monday night game of the week too. It's going to be the Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Eagles, they escaped Detroit with a win after they kind of let things get away from them there in the second half. They're still one of the favorites in the NFC. You have to say right now that they are the easy favorite in the NFC East after what's happened to the Cowboys. And the Vikings perhaps establishing themselves as somebody to watch out for in the NFC North against the Packers. I loved the new offense for Minnesota. I loved the way Kirk Cousins is using his receivers. I love the way Kevin O'Connell is using all of his different weapons, the looks on offense. And I really like this defense too. I love Zadarius Smith. He obviously had motivations against the Packers, but I think the guy's in for a big year. I've always been a Daniel Hunter fan. I think that there's some good pieces. Eric Kendricks is a linebacker that I've always loved for the Vikings. Good pieces on this team. I think they go into Philadelphia, and I think that they will win this game outright.
I don't think this is going to be very close, to be honest with you. This should be in the other direction, in my opinion. I think that the Eagles got away with a lot last week. Their defense did not look good, and especially in clutch time against the Lions. And the Vikings, if they perform the way that I think they might this week, they could really be a contender for one of the top teams in like the conference. But you know what? I like the pick.
This isn't a Zimmer's Viking team anymore, like they are going to utilize their freaking weapons. Kevin O'Connell knows how to use them. This isn't the Vikings team that people are thinking they are, because the names are still the same. There's a hell of a lot of talent on this team, and I think that they're really going to show up and show out this season. I like +2.
All right, my props, sticking with this game, actually, because it's going to be a close game, because I like the way these two offenses play. I think that they understand that field goals are not going to win this game. They need touchdowns. I love this prop. Over 1.5 total fourth down conversions at +175. It's going to be close. Somebody's going to be in a final drive situation where they're having to go for it on fourth down. I think we get to 3 or 4 fourth down conversions in this game. All I need is 2, and I will win a cool +175 on that one. My other prop, going back to the Packers, A.J. Dillon was the leading receiver last week, And you know how Aaron Rodgers gets stuck on guys. If he's got a guy he relies on that he knows will make plays for him, he is going to continue to feed that guy. I think Dylan is going to see a lot of action. He's going to get a lot of touches. And against the Bears, I think Dylan finds the end zone at plus 140.
I think that Rodgers has some attachment issues. I think he has some problems with his receivers. He gets one guy and he's like ready to go. He's like, AJ Dillon had a good week, and I think Dylan's going to be his guy. Like
that
going forward.
That is an Aaron Rodgers trait that I'm going to ride to cha-ching.
I'm a huge fan of that pick.
Take that free money.
Huge fan. But I was thinking about your last pick, and with the 1.5 fourth down conversions. At first, when you started describing it to me, explaining, I was like, I don't know about that. But then I realized these two offenses are weapons. They have weapons on both sides of the ball, but their offense is really what's going to bring them to the end. Now I think that it's going to be a really close game. So I absolutely see where you're coming from. There might be a couple of fourth downs they need to go through, but they might just not get that many fourth down situations.
I just need 2. All right. We are now going on to our top picks of the week. So, Tommy, as our game winner, you get to go first. Your top favorites of the week.
All right. Fave. This is Buffalo and Tennessee. I think that the Bills are the wave here. I was talking about it before. They just beat the Super Bowl champions, and Tennessee just lost to the measly Giants. And I think that Buffalo is the favorite for the AFC. I think they're a Super Bowl contender, and there's not much to argue here. I think if I'm betting, I'm betting on the Bills.
All right, and your underdog.
My underdog. I do like Carolina +2 against the Giants, and Baker getting in his groove. He's going to find his way through. His receivers are going to cook. I was talking about DJ Moore before. I think he's going to do really well, and I think the roster's too good to keep losing. They're just all-around weapons.
And your money line pick.
You know what? I'm not going to double down. I think that the Raiders are going to cover the money line. I think the Raiders are going to win. The Cardinals might cover the spread, but I have faith in that Raiders offense. They really competed against the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are incredible on offense and defense. So I like that pick here. The Raiders are going to probably win that game.
All right, Ben, your favorite of the week.
My favorite's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that they get it done, and I like the low spread there.
All right, and your underdog, your top dog of the week.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I got the nasty taste in my mouth. I'm going to roll Seattle on this one. I like Seattle at +10. That is a nice window right there.
I like it. And your money line pick.
Jeez, I would love to tell you the Denver Broncos, but, that line has to be completely skewered. I'm going to actually
it's not paying a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the I'm gonna roll with the Lions. I like the Lions. I think that Campbell. I've really bought into what Campbell did, and I'm here for it.
All right. So I am going to for my favorite. I am going with the Cincinnati Bengals to cover that 7.5 spread against the Dallas Cowboys.
Love that.
I think the Bengals win that game easily. My top dog. I am going to go with the Miami Dolphins to cover that 3.5 points they're getting versus the Baltimore Ravens. And my money line pick, so I'm looking at Minnesota. Minnesota won for me last week at +103. They're at +111 right now, but I'm looking at that Jacksonville +167, and I'm thinking that's an extra $50 I can stick in my pocket.
That is, those are both good.
And so I am going with the Jacksonville Jaguars at +167 as my money line. And then I could just sit back and root for Trevor Lawrence. It's not something I've done very often, but it'll be fun to do. So that is it. That is all of we've got 15 picks now in the books. We've all made our favorites, our top dogs, and our easy money line. Thank you guys for joining us. Do you have anything to add before we say goodnight?
It's comeback time.
Take the Broncos at -12.5. You'll thank me later.
Yes, if we've learned one thing, always roll with the Denver Broncos. That is what this NFL season has taught us so far. All right,
Mr. Unlimited.
on behalf of Tommy Birch and Ben O'Connell, I am Kyle Garlett. Also, thanks to our sponsors at USA Wager and all of the shows in the Sports 2.0 network. We are NFL Points, Picks, and Props here every week, giving you your picks for the week. Happy betting this weekend. Good luck. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.